more days to go until Tim Peake becomes the first Briton to travel to the International Space Station, and a leading astronaut is urging Britain to continue funding human spaceflight. Helen Sharman was part of a launch 24 years ago and has said she wants to see a British-backed mission to Mars in the future. However, others argue space exploration is a waste of money. Well, we're joined now by Professor Chris Scott, a space scientist at Reading University. Professor, thanks very much for joining us. I have only a passing interest in space, and I'm already incredibly excited about the trip to the International Space Station, so I can only imagine what you're thinking.
Oh, well, it's one of those great inspirational moments. I'm old enough to remember the Apollo missions, and that's what inspired me to get involved. And I've had a fantastically interesting career studying space science, but I'm also aware that there are many applications of satellite missions and spacecraft missions that are of sort of vital importance to us in sort of modern society.
It would be fair to say, however, that the United Kingdom's commitment to space exploration, be it manned or unmanned, has wavered over the years.
Well, I think we haven't got a high profile in our involvement in space because we haven't really put much effort into the manned space flight until now. But we've got a very strong space industry building robotic probes, looking at spacecraft that are Earth observation spacecraft looking down at Earth. And so the British space industry is very vibrant, but it's not very visible to the general public who tend to be more inspired by a personality, a face like an astronaut going up into space.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? The cost-benefit analysis in all of this, well, in the plus column, you do have more people becoming interested in science. But at the end of the day, you know, the United Kingdom coming out of a period of depression, huge economic problems here, some will suggest that the hundreds of millions of pounds that we're spending on this could be better spent elsewhere.
Well, the space industry is very expensive, as you point out, but it has great cost benefits, I think. A good example, colleagues of mine at the University of Reading are working with a mission known as TAMSAT, and that's enabling us to very accurately forecast the weather and rainfall over Africa, and that's enabling the communities there to really maximise their benefits from the crops that they're growing, and they know where and when to expect the rainfall. So by having one mission in space, it has a wide-reaching effect of our understanding of the world's weather patterns, and the British Met Office will have no doubt benefited greatly from the space information they had, looking down at the Earth and looking at those weather systems to see the dreadful weather that we've had and issue warnings. So there are benefits to space, and if the manned mission with Tim Peake going into space inspires more people to work in that industry, then it's going to have a very healthy future.
I'm sure there are plenty of people, yourself included, looking for a kind of a Chris Hadfield moment with Tim Peake heading into space, with young people in this country becoming just as excited about the pictures that Tim will undoubtedly be sending back as I was, those from Commander Chris Hadfield.
Yes, and there's going to be opportunities for school children to actually talk with Tim Peake when he's actually on the space station. That's something that obviously in the Apollo era, when I was a kid, that wasn't available. But this now is something that they really are planning to use as an educational tool to inspire people. And it really is quite astonishing. If you get the International Space Station on a good night and it overflies us, it's so bright in the sky, it's such a big thing. And to actually be able to look up and think there are people there and there's actually a British person on that is going to be quite inspirational.
Professor Chris Scott, I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. I'm sure you, like me, will be looking upwards just as soon as Tim Peake makes his way to the ISS. Thanks for your time. Plenty more still to come in terms of sports after the break.